The Valerian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. They had conquered 847 star systems. Their method was always the same. Arrive with massive warships. Show overwhelming power. Demand surrender. It never failed. Ambassador Velther stood on Earth's orbital station. His honor guard surrounded him. He looked at the human representatives with cold eyes. These primitives would submit like all the others. You have 48 hours, Velther said through his translator. Surrender to the Valerian Empire or we will destroy your cities from orbit. This is not a negotiation. This is your only chance. The humans looked afraid. Good. Fear made conquests easier. Captain Do-Hyun Lee studied the holographic display in Earth's command center. 15 Valerian warships floated in orbit above the planet. Each ship was 3 kilometers long. Each one carried enough weapons to level an entire continent. Earth's most powerful nuclear missiles would barely scratch their energy shields. We cannot fight them with our weapons, Do-Hyun said to the Emergency Council. They are too advanced. Too powerful. Then we surrender? Asked General Torres, his voice heavy with defeat. No, said Miho Park. The scientist stood up and activated his tablet. We fight. But not the way they expect. Miho projected files onto the main screen. I have been studying their technology, their ships, their culture. The Valorians have conquered hundreds of worlds. But every species fought them the same way. Military against military. Weapons against weapons. And every species lost. What are you suggesting? Asked Jaewon Kim, Earth's diplomatic liaison. Miho smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. I am suggesting we do something they have never seen before. Something their tactical computers cannot predict. Something that does not exist in their military databases. Which is? Do-Hyun leaned forward. We fight with everything except traditional weapons. We fight with culture. With information. With chaos. With creativity. We make them wish they never found Earth. The council members looked at each other. It sounded insane. But they had no other choice. Jaewon stood up. The Valorians think we are primitive. They think we will behave like frightened animals. They have studied our military but they have not studied our people. Our history. Our nature. Humans do not surrender easily, Do-Hyun added. We have fought wars for thousands of years. We know how to survive against stronger enemies. Guerrilla warfare. Psychological warfare. Asymmetric warfare. They expect soldiers and missiles, Miho said. We will give them something completely different. Something that will break their entire system. The council voted. Unanimous agreement. Earth would not surrender. Earth would fight. But Earth would fight in a way that would shock the galaxy. Velther received Earth's response exactly 48 hours later. The primitive planet requested a meeting. They wanted to negotiate terms. He laughed. They all wanted to negotiate. It never changed the outcome. Tell them we accept no terms except complete surrender, Velther ordered. Prepare orbital bombardment. Target their largest cities. We will demonstrate our power. They will submit within hours. His tactical officer hesitated. Sir, our sensors detect unusual activity on the planet's surface. Thousands of launch signatures. They're missiles. Velther waved his hand dismissively. Let them waste their primitive weapons. Our shields will hold. Sir, the launches are not following attack trajectories. They appear to be. The tactical officer stopped. His screen filled with alerts. Warning symbols flashed red across every display. What is happening? Velther demanded. We are under attack, sir. But not with weapons. With data. Massive data uploads across all our communication frequencies. Our systems are being flooded. I cannot shut it down. The volume is impossible. Billions of files. Music. Videos. Text. Images. Everything. It is overwhelming our network. Velther stared at the chaos on the screens. This made no sense. This was not warfare. This was madness. On Earth, Do-Hyun watched the orbital display. The Valerian ships were completely distracted. Their communication networks were overloaded. Their attention was divided. Phase 2, he ordered. Launch the volunteers. Thousands of civilian ships lifted off from Earth. Miners, traders, tourists, ordinary people flying ordinary vessels toward the most powerful military fleet in the galaxy. The war had begun. And it was unlike anything the Valorians had ever imagined. Sun Woo Choi gripped the controls of his mining ship. His hands shook but his jaw was set. He had mined asteroids for 15 years. Today he would do something completely different. Mining vessel approaching Valerian destroyer, his radio crackled. You are cleared for attachment. Good luck. For Earth, Sunwoo whispered. He pushed the throttle forward. The Valerian destroyer loomed before him like a metal mountain. Its surface was smooth and dark. Weapon ports lined its hull. Any one of those weapons could vaporize his small ship instantly. But they were not firing. They were too busy dealing with the data attack. Sunwoo activated his mining clamps. These magnetic tools were designed to grip asteroids. Today they would grip something else. His ship shuddered as the clamps locked onto the destroyer's hull. He was attached. He was part of the Valerian ship now. Around him, thousands of other civilian ships did the same thing. Cargo haulers, passenger vessels, private yachts, even old satellites with simple engines attached. They swarmed the Valerian fleet like insects on a giant beast. Inside the Valerian flagship, Ambassador Velther watched the tactical display with growing horror. Every ship in his fleet now had dozens of human vessels attached to it. The humans were not attacking. They were just holding on. Destroy them, he ordered. Sir, we cannot fire without damaging our own hulls, his weapons officer reported. They are attached too close. Our point defense systems cannot target them without compromising hull integrity. Then shake them off. Maneuver. We cannot, sir. The mass distribution is affecting our engines. If we accelerate too quickly, we risk structural damage. They have effectively disabled our mobility. Velther's three eyes widened. These primitives had crippled his entire fleet without firing a single weapon. It was impossible. It was humiliating. It was brilliant. Meanwhile, Valerian technicians fought desperately against the data flood. But the information was designed to be irresistible. Human culture poured into their systems. A technician named Krelver found himself watching something called a movie. It showed humans fighting against impossible odds. Refusing to surrender. Winning through courage and cleverness. He should delete it. He should focus on his work. But he kept watching. The story gripped him. He had never seen anything like it. Valerian entertainment was educational and practical. This was emotional. Powerful. Strange. Another technician discovered human music. The sounds made no sense according to Valerian mathematical principles. Yet they stirred something inside her. An emotion she had no name for. Throughout the fleet, similar scenes repeated. Valerian soldiers encountered human philosophy, human history, human art, ideas that did not exist in their rigid empire, questions that had never been asked, possibilities that had never been imagined. On Earth, Jaewon Kim's face appeared on every Valerian screen. The transmission overrode all their security protocols. Miho had made sure of that. People of the Valerian Empire, she said calmly. You came to conquer us. You expected us to fight like soldiers. To line up our armies and face you in honorable combat. But we are human. We do not fight by your rules. Velther tried to shut down the transmission. He failed. You have weapons that can destroy planets, Jaewon continued. We have weapons too. But our weapons are different. We fight with ideas. With culture. With creativity. With chaos. We fight with everything we are. You think you can conquer Earth? Jaewon's voice grew harder. Try. But know this. Every day you stay here, we will show you new ways to resist. We will fill your networks with information you cannot control. We will attach ourselves to your ships until you cannot move. We will make occupation so difficult, so frustrating, so exhausting that you will beg to leave. This is not war, she said. This is something your empire has never faced. This is humanity. And we are just getting started. The transmission ended. Silence filled the Valerian flagship. Velther looked at his officers. They looked back with uncertain expressions. For the first time in 3,000 years of conquest, the Valerian Empire did not know what to do. On his screen, alerts continued flashing. More human ships were launching. More data was flooding their systems. The humans were not stopping. They were escalating. What are your orders, sir? His second officer asked quietly. Velther had no answer. His training had not prepared him for this. Nothing had prepared him for this. Commander Thexnell marched through the ruins of Seoul with his battalion. The humans had evacuated the city center. Their scanners showed empty buildings. Empty streets. No resistance. That should have been his first warning. The attack came from nowhere. One moment the street was quiet. The next moment, an explosion destroyed the rear vehicle in his convoy. Soldiers scrambled for cover. Thexnell activated his energy shield and searched for the enemy. He saw nothing. No soldiers. No weapons. Just empty buildings and silence. Then another explosion. The front vehicle this time. His battalion was trapped between burning wreckage. Smoke filled the air. His soldiers fired randomly at windows and doorways. They hit nothing. "Where are they?" his lieutenant shouted. "Underground?" Thexnell realized too late. "They are attacking from below." By the time they located the sewer entrance, the attackers were gone. Thexnell found only spray paint on the wall. Human words in bright colors. He did not understand the language, but his translator worked. It said, "Welcome to Earth. Enjoy your stay." This was not how wars worked. This was not honorable combat. This was something else entirely. Corporal Hyojin Song crawled through the ancient sewer system with her team. Water dripped from the ceiling. Rats scattered in the darkness. The smell was terrible. But down here, Valerian scanners could not find them. "Good hit," whispered Daehoon, her second in command. "2 vehicles destroyed. 0 casualties on our side." "Move to position 7, Hyojin ordered. "We hit them again in 20 minutes. Different location. Different method. Keep them confused." Her team had learned tactics from video games, old war movies, and historical guerrilla fighters. The Valorians fought with rigid military precision. Humans fought with chaos and creativity. It was working. They disappeared into the darkness. Above them, Valerian soldiers searched empty streets for an enemy they would never find. In Busan, a different kind of resistance was happening. A Valerian supply convoy transported ammunition and equipment. The convoy reached its destination without incident. The soldiers unloaded the vehicles and returned to base. 2 days later, the commanding officer opened the ammunition containers. They were filled with concrete. Not ammunition. Concrete. Someone had switched the cargo. Somewhere along the route, humans had replaced everything with worthless material. The officer reviewed the security footage. Nothing. No signs of tampering. No breaks in the timeline. The humans had somehow made the switch invisible. It was impossible. But it had happened. Similar incidents occurred across all 5 occupied continents. Fuel tanks filled with water. Communication equipment replaced with children's toys. Medicine containers holding candy. The Valerian supply system collapsed into chaos. Young Ho Nam walked through the streets of occupied New York. He was not a soldier. He was a teacher. But he fought his own kind of war. He approached Valerian soldiers at checkpoints. He offered them food. Asked them questions. Showed them human books and artwork. At first they ignored him. Then they started responding. Talking. Wondering. "Do you have families?" Young Ho asked a young Valerian guard one evening. The guard hesitated. "We do not discuss personal matters." "Why not?" Young Ho smiled gently. "Are you not allowed to have families? Are you not allowed to have feelings?" The guard said nothing. But something flickered in his eyes. Doubt. Confusion. Questions he had never asked before. Young Ho gave him a book. "Read this when you have time. It is about a soldier who questioned his orders. Who chose his own path." The guard took the book. "He should report this. He should throw the book away." But he kept it. That night, alone in his quarters, he began reading. Across the occupied zones, thousands of similar conversations happened. Humans did not just fight with weapons. They fought with words. With ideas. With kindness that felt more dangerous than hatred. Commander Thexnell sent his weekly report to the Valerian High Command. His hands shook as he typed. "Occupation status, failure. We control the landing zones but nothing else. Supply lines are compromised. Morale is collapsing. Enemy uses tactics our systems cannot predict. They do not fight battles. They make occupation impossible. Request immediate reinforcement or permission to withdraw." The response came back 3 hours later. One word. Continue. Thexnell closed his eyes. This war was already lost. The Empire just did not know it yet. Captain Dohyun stared at the message on his screen. He read it 3 times to make sure he understood correctly. 3 Valerian warships requesting asylum. They want to defect. His communications officer nodded. "Yes, sir. They are asking permission to land. They say they will not fight for the Empire anymore." "This is a trick," said General Torres. "It must be." "No trick," Jaiwan said quietly. She had been monitoring Valerian communications for weeks. "Their crews have been exposed to our culture. Our ideas. They have been changing. I hope this might happen. But 3 ships at once? That is more than I expected." Dohyun gave the order. "Grant them asylum. But watch them carefully." The 3 ships landed in the Arizona desert. Hundreds of Valerian soldiers emerged. They laid down their weapons without being asked. Their commander, a female officer named Telvara, approached the human reception team. "We cannot serve the Empire anymore," she said simply. "We have learned too much, seen too much. We want what you have. Freedom. Choice. The right to question. The right to be individuals." One of her soldiers held up a tablet. On it was a human film about rebellion against tyranny. "This story changed everything," the soldier said. "We thought we were serving order. But we were serving oppression. We do not want to be oppressors anymore." The defection shook the entire Valerian fleet. News spread through encrypted channels. Whispered conversations in mess halls. Soldiers sharing human files in secret. The ideas were spreading like fire through dry grass. In his detention cell, scientist Miho smiled. He had been teaching his Valerian guards for months. Physics, philosophy, art. Most importantly, he taught them to question. "Why do you follow orders without asking if they are right?" he asked a young guard named Kelvris. "Orders maintain structure. Structure maintains the Empire," Kelvris answered automatically. "But what if the structure is wrong? What if the Empire hurts people? Should you still obey?" Kelvris had no answer. No Valerian had ever asked him that question. He thought about it for days, then weeks. The question grew in his mind like a seed becoming a tree. One night, Kelvris unlocked Miho's cell. "Go," he said quietly. "I will say you escaped. I cannot keep you prisoner anymore. It is wrong." Miho shook his hand. "Thank you for learning to think for yourself." "Thank you for teaching me," Kelvris replied. The Valerian Emperor received the reports with cold fury. 3 ships defected. 17 battalions had surrendered to humans. Morale was collapsing across the entire occupation force. His soldiers were watching human entertainment, reading human books, asking human questions. "Memory wipe all soldiers who contacted the humans," he ordered. Immediately. But it was too late. The ideas had spread too far. Too fast. Memory wipes could not keep up. And some soldiers refused the procedure. They ran. They hid. They defected. Seo Yun Han stood before Earth's War Council. "We are winning," she said. "Not with weapons. With transformation. We are changing them. We need to offer them an alternative. Something better than their empire." Jaiwan nodded. "I have prepared a proposal." The broadcast went out to every Valerian ship and soldier. Jaiwan's voice was calm but strong. "Soldiers of the Valerian Empire, we do not want to destroy you. We want to offer you a choice. Stop fighting. Join us instead. Not as conquered people. Not as servants. As equals. As partners. We will share our culture. Our technology. Our knowledge. We will build something new together. A galaxy based on cooperation. Not conquest. Based on freedom. Not fear." She paused. "But only if you choose it. We will not force you. That is the difference between us and your empire. We believe in choice." Commander Thexnell watched the broadcast in his command center. Around him his officers watched too. Some had tears in their eyes. Tears were not common among Valorians. But nothing about this war was common. "What do we do, sir?" his second officer asked. Thexnell looked at his loyal soldiers. Good people trapped in a bad system. He thought about the Emperor's orders. Continue the occupation. Continue the suffering. Continue serving an empire that valued obedience over justice. He made his choice. "Contact the humans," he said quietly. "Tell them we want to talk." The Valerian Emperor stared at the reports with shaking hands. 17 star systems had declared independence. His once mighty empire was crumbling. All because of one primitive planet that refused to be conquered. "Enough," he said coldly. "Deploy the Planet Killer." His council fell silent. The Planet Killer was the Empire's ultimate weapon. It had been used only twice in 3,000 years. It could crack a world in half. Turn continents to ash. Boil oceans into steam. "My lord," one advisor dared to speak. "If we destroy Earth, the rebellion will only grow worse. They will become martyrs. Symbols of resistance." "Then let them be dead symbols," the Emperor snarled. "Fire the weapon." The massive weapon moved into position above Earth. It was 10 kilometers long. Dark and terrible. Its core began charging with energy that could end a world. Dohayan watched from Earth's command center. Every screen showed the same nightmare. The Planet Killer charging. 20 hours until firing. No way to stop it. No way to escape. They had fought so hard. Changed so much. And now it would end in fire. "We did our best," Jaiwan said quietly beside him. "We changed the galaxy. Even if we do not survive to see it." Then Sunwa's voice crackled over the radio. "Command, this is the defector fleet. We are moving to intercept. Negative. Dohain shouted. That weapon will destroy you. Stay back. We know, Sunwoo replied. His mining ship now led a small fleet of defector vessels. Former Valerian soldiers who had chosen freedom. But we choose this. We choose to protect Earth. Like you taught us. Sometimes you fight for something bigger than yourself. The defector ships accelerated toward the planet killer. Valerian weapons fired at them. Half the ships exploded in bright flowers of flame. But the rest kept coming. They crashed into the weapon's hull, damaging systems, disrupting the firing sequence. In the chaos, Hyojin's team launched from a hidden satellite. They had been waiting for this. Miho had taught them how Valerian security systems worked, how they thought, how they failed to imagine creative attacks. Her shuttle attached to the planet killer's maintenance port. The port was designed for authorized vessels only, but Miho had given them authorization codes stolen months ago. The weapon's computer accepted them. The door opened. We are inside, Hyojin whispered into her radio. Beginning sabotage. Her team moved through the weapon's interior, placing explosives, cutting power lines, uploading viruses into the control systems. They had 12 minutes before security found them. They needed 8. The weapon's core began powering down. Warning lights flashed. Valerian technicians scrambled to diagnose the problem. But the sabotage was elegant, subtle. By the time they understood what was happening, it was too late. The planet killer went dark, silent, defeated not by superior weapons but by courage and cleverness. The Emperor received the news in his throne room. His ultimate weapon had failed. His empire was fracturing. His authority was crumbling. For the first time in his long life he felt something new. Fear. Across the galaxy, subject species heard about Earth's victory. They began their own rebellions. Quiet at first, then louder. The Empire's grip weakened every day. Systems declared independence. Soldiers refused orders. The foundation cracked. 5 years later, Earth looked very different. Valerian refugees lived in human cities. Learning. Growing. Becoming something new. The galaxy had reformed into the Galactic Cooperative. Hundreds of species working together as equals. Former Ambassador Velther sat in a Seoul cafe with Jaiwan. He drank coffee and smiled. Smiling was still new to him. Valorians had not smiled much under the Empire. We came to conquer warriors, he said. But you defeated us with teachers and artists and miners and ordinary people. You changed what war meant. You changed what peace meant. You changed us. Jaiwan looked out the window. A Valerian child played with human children in the park. They laughed together. No differences. No fear. Just joy. We fought the only way we could, she said. Like humans. Stubborn. Creative. Hopeful. We refused to accept that things had to stay the way they were. Young-ho walked past the cafe with a group of students. Humans and Valorians learning together. He had written a book about the war. It was now taught on 40 planets. The book's title was simple, The Power of Questions. Above Earth, transport ships departed for the stars, carrying diplomats, scientists, artists, teachers, spreading the most dangerous idea in the universe, that things could be better, that freedom was possible. That one small planet could change everything. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, species that had never known hope began asking questions. Questions that would transform the galaxy forever.